Hi everyone, my name is Jingtao Wang. I'm a researcher in Google. Before joining Google full-time last year, I was a professor at the University of Pittsburgh. I have two primary research directions. The first one is on-device machine learning. The second one is the application of machine learning in the context of education and human learning. Today, I'd like to share with you some ongoing projects I'm working on at the intersection of those two directions. As we all know, human learning is one of the most challenging and rewarding tasks. Just imagine what kind of opportunities you may have if you learn a new language, or you learn a new musical instrument, or you knew some emerging technologies such as TensorFlow. Meanwhile, learning is also extremely challenging. According to some surveys, more than 10 million people sign up on MOOC courses such as Coursera, but less than 7% of them could complete those online courses, which means that it's non-trivial to learn. At the same time, we have the requirement to learn, not just in classrooms. We also need to learn in all kinds of informal environment. Today, I'd like to show you some examples about how to use machine learning to enable learning on your wrist, in your palm, and on your wall during your fragmented time. The first project I'd like to show you is called Smart RSVP. The idea is how can we convert your smartwatch into an intelligent learning device. The first challenge to address will be the small display. We know a typical smartwatch only has a 1.5-inch display. It will only display 2 or 3 words at a time. It barely affords to read a sentence on such a small screen. How can we enable efficient learning? Well, it depends on the task. What if, for example, we break the task into bite-sized pieces, such as we enable learning of flashcard on your wrist, set up timely reminder and prompts or checks on whether you understand certain content in the flashcard. Another thing we like to address is how can we read long sentences on such a small watch? The solution is a technology called RSVP. The idea is displaying 1 word at a time in a sequential manner, so each word can be larger, and it can be delayed faster, and you can read each and every word without moving your eye gaze. Here we introduce 2 technologies to facilitate such kind of speed reading on smartwatches. The first one is we detect your visual attention. We only display the next word when you're looking at your screen. We will pause the display once you're looking around somewhere else. The second one is we monitor your heart rate in real time to know your attention. If you have full attention, we display the text at faster speed. If you do not have full attention, we display it at a lower speed. And according to the user study, it does much better when compared with a version without such kind of attention tracking and visual attention tracking and focus tracking. The other project I'd like to share with you is about how to improve the interaction in large classrooms. We know that large classrooms are pretty popular in undergrad studies. It's not uncommon to have a large class with over 200 students. How can we improve the interaction in such environment? We designed an intelligent mobile app called Kazmir. It has 3 features. The first feature is it will send you a reminder automatically after each lecture, asking you to reflect on the content and remind you to ask some questions, if you have any, about things you like to know more or clarify with the instructor. Furthermore, we will have a natural language dialogue system to facilitate you to ask deeper, more specific questions other than generic questions that nothing really confusing, or gravity is confusing. Gravity is confusing, but it's not a good question because it's not specific enough. We can give you feedback on how you can improve your question to ask a question in a deeper, more specific way. The third one is we run a natural language summarization approach to aggregate and cluster, for example, student responses based on importance and diversity. So the instructor do not need to go through hundreds of questions. They only need to go through 12 representative questions. And this system has been deployed in classrooms in the US and overseas. More than 400 students have used this system and give positive rating on this system. And the next project is a project I have been working on for over 5 years. It's called Attentive Learner. It's about making MOOC, which means massive open online courses, learning more efficiently on your mobile devices. It has two components. It uses the front camera to track the facial expression of learners. And it also uses back camera to track the physiological signal, which in this case is heart rate variability of learners when they are taking a class. So we know how good the student is learning when they are watching the videos. And when we observe something special, such as learners get distracted for either external events or get struggled, we have some intervention techniques such as adaptive reminder, adaptive reviewing to improve the learning outcome. Details about this project can be found at attentivelearner.com. And here I like to introduce the last and the most exciting project. It's a language learning project that explores the intersection between AI and arts and culture. This picture is a picture showing a language called Oracle Bone Script. It's the origin of Chinese language used by people 3,000 years ago. And this is the only language that has distance today. Most other Asian languages died and new language appears. This language is the origin of today's Chinese language. And we'd like, surprisingly, from this table, you can see the evolution of Chinese language from the original Oracle Bone Script to today's simplified Chinese language. You can see the original language is highly hieroglyphic. It looks like everyday objects. And gradually, the representation becomes more abstract. Knowing the origin, knowing the hieroglyphic representation of the language can help us to have a deeper understanding about today's language. So we created an interactive exhibition. And here is a higher level idea. We ask the users to experience the process of creating new characters based on everyday objects. And we also able to animate such an the character you created in a natural scene. So every object in the natural scene is a character. It illustrates the hieroglyphic nature of characters. It can help us to have a better understanding about today's language. And here are some of the technical details. We use a multi-layer convolutional neural network to calculate the similarity between the character you created and the image prompt shown on the screen. At the same time, we also use a stroke correspondence algorithm to know, for example, what's the corresponding meaning of each part of the character you created, and then animate it. Now we try to build a connection between every objects and the meaning, the representation of the Asian language. By knowing such kind of connection, it can help us to understand the language a little bit better. And this project is launched in Google Developer Days China 2019 on September 10th. That was more than 20 days ago in Shanghai, China. More than 1,000 participants had a live experience about this demonstration. And this demonstration includes two parts. The first part are two large touch screens. On those touch screens, you try to imitate the ancestor of Chinese people, try to create Oracle bone script based on image prompt in a hieroglyphic manner. And after successful creation of a character, the character will animate and compose intelligent scenes on a larger screen. It can build us a connection between everyday objects and the corresponding meaning of those objects in Oracle bone script. All right, so this is about a overview about some of my ongoing project. I want to emphasize that machine learning can definitely help us to learn more efficiently, learn in a more engaging way. Learning does not necessarily happen always in classrooms. It can happen on your wrist, in your palm, and on your wall in an engaging manner. Thank you.